Hey everyone, I welcome you all. I'm Prad from Hyperbots, a financial technology consultant. Welcome, Claudia. Thank you for joining us today to discuss the topic of chart of accounts granularity. So let's dive right in. Claudia, what are the factors that a company should consider when deciding on the granularity of its chart of accounts?
Hi, Brad. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Well, let's talk a little bit about when a company wants to initiate their financial reporting, they need to think very closely about the chart of accounts, right? And some of the factors that they need to think about is the size, the complexity, the industry that they are in, and the level of detail that they want to have for reporting purposes and also for compliance purposes. So some large organizations, some that they have different business units, they might want to have a more granular charts of accounts, while other smaller companies may need simpler charts of accounts.
That's a valuable insight. Now, can you give us some examples on how different levels of granularity might look in place?
Well, like I mentioned, large organizations might have different levels of view of the charge of accounts. Being that said, they're going to want to see by business units, not only the revenue, the operating expenses, and underneath very granular view. Just for a simple example, they might want to not see only a line that says marketing expenses. They will want to see by vertical where they're spending the marketing so they can see the ROI on that investment that they're doing. So they will want to see, for example, digital ads and other verticals. For smaller companies that, let's say, they might not be investing in marketing, one line or very little, one line, it may be sufficient.
And what are some of the challenges associated with having a very granular chart of accounts?
Well, it has to be a good balance, right? When you go way too granular with the charts of accounts, it creates complexity in the accounting team, a lot of effort to make sure that all the lines are mapped properly. So that creates intensity, data errors, and also more complex financial reporting and compliance. So you just have to be very careful how really granular you want to go so you don't over complex the financial reporting.
Yeah, and on the other hand, what are the downsides of having a COA that is not granular enough?
Well, at the end of the day, we want to break out the charts of accounts to make sure that we understand the business. And we can have financial reporting to make decisions, how to grow, how to manage the cash. So these are just making sure that then the cost drivers of the company. So if you're not granular enough, you're not going to understand a lot of these drivers. So it's important just to make sure that you understand the drivers and that you are complying with the auditors when they are taking a look at your financials.
Great point. Also, are there any industry standards or guidelines that should companies follow during structuring their COA?
Well, also depends on the country that you're in. There are frameworks depending on the country. You can follow frameworks like GAAP or IFRS and others in Asia that gives you a framework to follow through. But I will say the most important thing is making sure that you understand what are the chart of account standards for the industry. There are certain industries that have a certain standards like the traveling and manufacturing. But most importantly, I will say it just understand the operational needs and the compliance needs. If you understand those two, then you're going to break out your charts of accounts in a way that you can actually make sound decisions for the future.
And now, can you shed some light on how AI and automation tools help manage the granularity of charts of account?
Well, the beauty of AI is that it can learn by itself. It can provide recommendations how to break them. So not only if, let's say that you're processing invoices, AI is going to be able to categorize them in the right chart of account automatically. And also it's going to predict certain things in the future. Is going to give you insights on, okay, maybe you should open up another chart of account because I'm seeing certain expenses that you're not categorizing properly. So that's the beauty that AI can do by itself instead of a person trying to figure it out this by
Now, as we're moving towards the end of the interview, what advice would you give to the companies trying to, strike the right balance between too much and too little granularity in their chart of accounts?
So like I said, I think I will start understanding the operations and obviously the industry. But it is important that the chart of account is not just written on a silo, on the finance silo. It has to go cross-functional, and we need to understand what category means in other department, what it might mean in finance. It might not mean the same in sales, in IT. So this design should be really cross-functional, making sure that everybody understands the categories as the definition, what they mean, and why we are adding those categories. And at the end of the day, if we can, on top, help with AI to get some, leveraging AI to give us some insights, that will be even better.
Finally, how can a well-structured chart of accounts contribute to a company's overall financial health and strategic goals?
Well, we do all of these charts of accounts exercise basically because we want to have a very sound financial reporting and compliance. If we are able to have a very balanced charts of accounts, we will be able to budget, forecast, making sure we have a better strategic planning, and all the things that help us to drive the business forward. We will be able to give the auditors all the information that they need. And this is just allow us to be very robust in our financial management and basically making sure that we get our long-term goals.
Well, thank you so much, Claudia, for sharing your insights on this critical topic. It is clear
All
that
right.
finding the right balance in the CEO granularity and greatly impact an organization's financial effectiveness and strategic decision making. So, thank you once again.
Thank you, Prad. Thank you for having me.